welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be showing you how I've made this, which is a low sin brownie, and yeah, keep watching to find out how I made it, and I'll tell you the total sin count at the end of the video. So here's the ingredients that you're going to need for the brownies. So I've doubled up the recipe, so I'm using 2 curly wurlies, some cocoa powder, I add choc shot into mine but you don't have to, spray light or fry light, that's just a cheaper version, vanilla extract, some highlights, fudge powder, you can buy the sachets but I just use this because I always have it in, self-raising flour, 6 eggs, but like I say, I've doubled the recipe, so you can still make this with half the ingredients of what I've used, and then sweetener, which we keep in here, which is actually a coffee jar, but that's where we keep our sweetener. And then obviously you'll just need a mixing bowl and some scales, and I tend to put my curly wurlies in the fridge before I do this because you need to try and break them up, and when you break them up they crumble, so I always find you're better off putting these in the fridge. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to start measuring out my ingredients. So I'm sorry about this horrible angle, but I've got my scales here and I'm going to start measuring out my ingredients. I've also got, okay, so they're finally at 0, so I'm going to measure out my self-raising flour. Like I say, you can just use 50 grams of this, but I am doubling up the mixture, so I'm going to be using 100 grams of self-raising flour, my scales back to 0, and I'm going to measure out 2 servings of the highlights. So it's 2 sins per 11 grams, and I'm going to be using 22 grams. So that's 2 sins now going into the mixture. So basically what I do is I take the sin count of every ingredient and then I just add it all together and divide it by however many brownies I cut it into. So I will give you the final sin count of the brownies I've made at the end of the video. But yeah, so 2 servings, so that's 4 sins. And then we need some cocoa powder, so I've just got this one, which is the Food For organic cocoa powder, and I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of this. I just need to find my tablespoon measurer. So I've got my tablespoon and my teaspoon measurers here now, so I'm going to 4 tablespoons of the cocoa powder. I did make these brownies for a Slimming World tester when it was the Woman of the Year awards, and loads of people were commenting on how they was like they tasted like real brownies. They tasted quite fudgy, which I think stands for hot chocolate powder. But yeah, so I thought I'd do a video on them in case anyone else is interested. It's really hard trying to get the blooming lumps out, which is why I always make sure I sieve my ingredients. Sometimes you just have to get the spoon in there and crush it through, and measure out 20 grams of my, that's tea bags, 1 sec. So I'm just measuring out the 20 grams of the sweetener. Obviously this stuff's really light, so it looks like you're using absolutely loads for your 20 grams. I don't know why I'm sieving sweetener. It really doesn't need sieving, but there we go. So that's all my powder ingredients added into here now. What I need is 4 teaspoons of the vanilla extract, which is here. Sorry, this camera's not great, so you probably can't see any of this very well. But here's my teaspoon measurer, and I'm going to measure out 4 of these. One teaspoon of choc shot, and it's half a sin for half a teaspoon, I think. Let me work it out. A teaspoon of choc shot. I'm pretty sure 1 teaspoon is half a sin, so I might add 2. So that's all that in there. The next thing I need to do is add the eggs, which I'm not too comfortable about adding the eggs just straight into here. I think I'm going to mix all this up together, and then I think I'm going to do the eggs in a jug and then add them bit at a time. Mixing all my ingredients. So this is what my mixture in the bowl's looking like now. It's obviously just a mixture of different powders. So like I said, some powders. Yeah. Pop the eggs into this jug, whisk them up, and then add them into the mixture. My 6 eggs in the bowl. Just use a fork. Then just whisk with a fork because I find it easier to break up the yolks. And then, like I say, a little bit at a time, adding this into the brownie mixture. and I'm just going to whisk as I go. Okay, I've changed my mind and I think I'm going to get my electric mixer down, so I'm going to have to shout Josh and see if he'll get it for me. And that is basically the mixture, because it doesn't need to be too whisked together. So yeah, that's the brownie mixture. I'm not sure if I did say, but I've added 2 tablespoons of water to this just to make it a bit more runny. And now I'm going to put this into my container and then show you what we do with the curly wurlies. Because it's just me and Josh and I'm not like presenting them, I think I'm just going to cook them in this rotten Pyrex dish. Because we don't actually have a proper square dish for making brownies. I've just got some metal trays that I used when I took the brownies to group. So like I say, I'm just going to pop them in here. So I've sprayed that with the fry light just to make sure it doesn't stick, and then I'm pouring this in. So now I'm just opening up my curly wurly. I'm going to break it into bits, and then I'm just going to put it on top of the brownie. Honestly, now I'm thinking I should have cooked it in a smaller container because there's not actually that much mixture, so they're not going to be very thick. I tend to use a knife to chop it up just so you can get thicker pieces. What I do is I just stick them wherever. And then you end up with these excess bits, so I tend to just sprinkle them in. And then I'm going to use my second curly wurly. So ignore the mess from me making it, but this is what it looks like just with the curly wurlies on top. When it's cooked, these caramel or caramelizes, obviously. It's only about that thick in the container. So here's the cooked brownie out of the oven. I'm just going to leave this, like I say, it doesn't rise too much, so they're quite thin brownies. But I'm just going to leave this to cool down, and I'm hoping that this time it's less cakey and more gooey. It feels like it might be, so fingers crossed, and that's going to be really nice. So I'll show you when I've cut it up into sections once it's cooled. So I've cut my brownie up now. As you can see, it's quite gooey inside. It didn't do this last time, so if you want it less gooey, maybe cook it for a bit longer. But I've made it into 12 servings, so it's 3.5 cents each serving, which isn't too bad. Obviously, I think these ones are a bit less gooey than these ones over here, but hopefully they'll be nice anyway, and I'll taste them for you later when they've cooled down. Just gonna taste my brownie. Just noticed this big hair sticking out.
Sabrina, who's your first pick?
Considering I'm working with me,
John,
come on.
Yeah.
It tastes more like a brownie. Honestly, it's really good, so I would recommend leaving it a bit gooier like I have, but if you prefer your brownies to be more like a cake, then just keep cooking it. But that's my finished Slimming World brownies. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. And I've got chocolate on my teeth, sorry. Bye.